back. This is episode 12 to Me and Pops Unplugged. We appreciate you guys tuning back in. So, first off, just a little update with what's going on with us, right? So, as you guys might have noticed, we took a little hiatus, couple week break, a lot of personal transition. For me personally, I know Pops had a lot on his plate too. So, we took a couple weeks off. This is the final episode of season one. So, that's where we're at. Just wanted to give you guys a little update, keep you guys in the loop too. And really, this is just going to be a recap of essentially just season one and everything that we did. We're going to talk about, our favorite moments, what we can work on. We got a lot of new stuff coming for season two. And how we're going to structure it really is, we're going to take a little hiatus as well after this episode. Again, keeping you guys in the loop, let you know, we just got a lot of new stuff coming. We're going to get a little creative, possible rebranding. We got some potential guests as well for season two. Definitely that's something me and Pops have been talking about as well. But, as our viewers, we want to keep you guys updated as we move forward. And again, we appreciate you guys, showing the support, showing love, comments, likes on social media. We are not perfect by any means. And this has been a whole new experience for us as well. I'm sure Pops can agree. So getting into it, right? Pops, season one officially wrapped up, right? And that's crazy because I remember when we first started. What would you say is like your favorite moment, just kind of wrapping up season one?
Um, as far as I don't have a particular favorite moment, but I think for me is like kind of we did a lot of the story time with Pops. I like telling the old stories,
Yeah.
even though a lot of them are crazy and from a different version of myself and my life was different. But they're still funny. And looking back now, it might not have been funny in the moment, but when you look back and you're on the other side of chaos, there's a lot of humor in it. And I know I got feedback from people who saw the episode and especially when I shared it on my own social media, where they were like, "Yo, that story was funny." Like, especially the one of me boosting and the whole chaos in the store. So stuff like that. And then us laughing about it and having the back and forth. Like, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed doing those. And again, it might be something that was kind of crazy and chaotic at the moment. But again, when you're on the other side and looking back, it still is funny. So yeah, I like, telling those. And I feel like people seeing me, a different version of me now, and knowing people that knew that version back then, they can make light, well, I can make light of it, and they can even laugh because they're like, man, like he ain't lying, like he was a mess or whatever. But no, I enjoyed telling them. And, I just enjoyed talking positivity, period. We talk about a lot of heavy topics and a lot of uncomfortable topics. And it's not the easiest thing for people to listen to or, to face, especially, it might point out something in themselves that, they're not comfortable, they're maybe in denial about themselves. And it's hard to face yourself. And, we talked about a lot of relationships and things we have talked about and from the relationship aspect that might touch a nerve with certain people because they might be in that exact situation that we're talking about. And again, like you said, it's not that we're perfect. We've both been in those toxic relationships and, have been maybe the cheater or the cheated on or, whatever the case may be, or with the wrong person and kind of knew it, but, you know, we're not there anymore. So, we had to take a look at ourselves and do some, personal accountability and, grow from our experiences. So, that's what we're trying to push to other people. But again, we talked about, so many different topics and, we don't talk about uh toxic shock value stuff, like that is big, on social media and all these reels and stuff now. It's like the shock value. We don't really talk about that. We're talking about real situations and personal growth. And it's not always, the most popular thing, but it's a real thing. It's just again, a lot of people it's uncomfortable and they don't really want to face that, that truth that's staring at them in the face. But I enjoy talking about stuff like that and, about my own, and then especially too, talking about my own personal growth and my own personal journey from, addict, convict, being on probation, parole, homeless, all those things, because now again, I'm on the other side. So, um, to be able to talk about that and share that with other people who may be in a similar situation that I once was, I always enjoy that because my intent is to help another person, escape the same trials and tribulations that I went through.
Yeah, no, and I love that. And even in retrospect, I mean, for you, it's not like I would know personally, but you got some peace in your life too. Like you mentioned the story time with Pops, and the stories are crazy. But
Yeah.
now that you actually found some peace, you can look back and be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like you can actually sit there and laugh and, keep it lighthearted. And again, that's all we want to do. I mean, we've said it multiple times throughout season one. We just want to help people. And
Yeah.
the thing is, too, you said it, the truth. Everyone claims they want it until it smacks them right in the face and they're like, damn, I really need to look in the mirror. And, let's be honest, a lot of people just go on social media to escape a lot of the shit that they're dealing with, whether it's the problems, whether it's, a distraction. And they kind of want to just scroll to some mindless crap that, is going to make the next 10, 15, 20 minutes get that little dopamine hit. So, when we're sitting here talking about heavy topics, relationships, masculinity, toxicity, bad friends, whatever it may be, you need to take a hard look at your life. And for a lot of people, that is very extremely difficult to do. And, you know, just with our personal journeys, everything you've been through, everything I've been through, I know how difficult that can be. So, we get it. But with that being said, there is going to be some structural differences to how we move forward for season two. Me and Pops have been talking about this for weeks, actually, on what we're going to do. There's a lot of new surprises. So, again, we're going to take a hiatus, probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 weeks. So, of course, we're going to keep you guys in the loop and, you know, give you an update as we go through that process. But, season two will come out pretty much midsummer. So
Yeah,
that's where
I'd
we're at.
say like, sometime after 4th of July.
Yeah,
We
easy.
all need a break. You have a lot on your plate. I have a lot on my plate. It's summertime, so we both have a regular job. So, we also want to have time for ourselves and, our partners and our family and, personal time to, be alone, time to just have a reset, time to rest.
Decompress.
Yeah, exactly. And,
Yep.
especially now with the summertime, I want to go down the shore a little bit. And, we all need that, and other people are going to be busy too. So hopefully, other people are out and about and enjoying their lives and not sitting in, doom scrolling anyway.
Yeah.
Not that
Boo-hooing.
we're, but
Yeah.
no, I
I mean,
agree,
we
and
just want to keep stuff positive. That's really it.
yeah, and I agree. Like we do, again, was our first season. We never done this before. It takes a lot of courage and vulnerability to even jump into this type of thing. You're putting a lot of parts of yourself out there for the world to see. You're being vulnerable about certain topics. Things come up that again, hard truths that you have to face. Yourself because everything that we're talking about, it's not like we're exempt. We're still human, and even though again like my personal journey I might be on the other side of a lot of things, there's things I still face constantly, you know what I mean, from relation standpoint, work standpoint, just life showing up, but then also within myself, like I still battle mental health, like with depression and anxiety and getting my little ruts, and I have to pull myself out of that. So like we're all human, and our goal was just to help other people and to help ourselves at the same time. But again, it's hard truth stuff and it's a lot of heavy topics. So a lot of people may be turned off by that. It's not this hysterical laughter the whole time you're watching us, and it's not entertainment. We're not doing all these crazy off the wall shock value type of stuff, but it has substance. But we also realize too that there's an entertainment factor for somebody to commit a half hour, an hour of their life to you every week. they want some kind of entertainment as well as substance. And we become aware of that. Again, we're new to this, so we're trying to learn on the fly. But also at the same time, we're going to do some changes, but we also want to stay true to who we are. Not going to sell out just for likes and views and
Yeah,
subscribers and all this other stuff. Like I would never do that. Like it's about principles first and about what really matters, and what the real goal is. And the real goal isn't just for likes and subscribers and views and all that. It's also to help people and help ourselves at the same time. So yeah, we're
exactly.
definitely going to make some changes, but the core, we're still going to focus a lot on the core things that we normally talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we say it in the intro all the time, especially with the voiceovers, like authenticity is everything. So we're not about to switch that up, even though the structure might change, especially for season two. And we got some cool things coming out for you guys, but authenticity is always there. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, back to the favorite moment though. I mean,
Yeah. What was yours? I forgot to ask you.
it's so hard to say. I mean, really my favorite moment wasn't even in the episode. It was just initiating everything and see it actually like come to fruition. Like I remember when we first talked about it, it was literally just an idea. We didn't have a logo, we didn't have a banner, we didn't have, at least a brand that we could be proud of
Mhm.
and be like, damn, you know what? That shit is fire.
Yeah.
And to see like where we're at now, like season one's finished, it's crazy. And it's not about followers or likes. Like that's just a bonus, honestly. And really, how I look at it is that's just the after result and after effect of all the value that you bring and ultimately give to people. So as we get better, I know for a fact you guys will get more value out of the content that we create. So numbers don't lie and they'll speak for themselves as we move forward too. So I know we're gonna get there, but you guys are growing with us too, especially like I'll tell you guys right now, what we got 40 some subscribers. You guys are the day ones, man. So as that goes up, it's just gonna be like, damn, like we were there from the beginning, and we appreciate
Mhm.
you guys for real.
And I have a couple people, because I mean, obviously, we don't. Some of them are like it doesn't even show you their name. Like some people have it on their YouTube. It's set up where you don't even know who subscribed
Yeah,
because
you
it's
can't.
blocked. You only
Yep.
see a certain amount. But I've had a few people tell me like, "Hell, like how come y'all haven't done?" Like reach out to me like, "How come?" Like the last few weeks, how come you guys haven't done an episode? Like I watch every week. I've been waiting for y'all. Like, and it might only be a couple people because again, it's new, and we're not professionals and stuff like that. But just to hear one or two people say stuff like that, like, hey, I look
Yeah,
forward
it's
to you
dope.
guys every week, like that's what's up. Like if we help one person, um, that's huge to me because that's what it's all about. And honestly, while you were talking, I thought about something like you said about the favorite moment thing. And, I brought up the, story time with Pops and all that. But as you were talking, I really thought about it. And I guess, like you said, my favorite moment isn't really a moment. It's just looking back now at the end, like after these 11 episodes, now 12, is really just the back and forth with you because we talked about it before. You and I went through a patch when, I was in, my addiction and going in and out of jail where we didn't really speak for a couple of years. And, it was hard on me. I know it was hard on you. There was a lot of feelings there and a lot of stuff. And even though before we started doing this whole thing, we had been working and, communicating,
Getting
spent
back
time
to a
together
good
and
place.
communicating.
Yeah.
But I feel like this has really helped our relationship. And of course it's not perfect. Like like I yell at you get pissed
Yeah.
off at me
Like
and
what the fuck? Yeah.
yeah.
But that's just how
And
it is.
yeah, and then like we don't always creatively agree on topics and like but we have our relationship has done a complete 180. And, that's probably looking back in retrospect, that's probably, my favorite moment is not actually a moment, but now sitting here on the other side, appreciating that
The
we stayed,
process.
we stayed
Yeah.
committed, we stayed committed to it, the whole process, and seeing our growth. And I would hope that people would appreciate that because, again, you're my son. So that a father and son can go on here even after everything that they've both been through individually, and then coming from a place where we weren't talking for a few years, and then to kind of work on that, repair that, and then us just gradually get better, even through, like I said, not agreeing on everything, getting frustrated with each other during this whole season at different times and stuff like that. But we put that aside, and we're both here for the same goal. We have the same vision, and our relationship and our dynamic just getting better and improving. That's probably my favorite part of it all, to be honest with you.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, I couldn't agree more. It's definitely been a journey, and it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially going into winter and depression. There's snow everywhere. Like it was a few rough months, but hey, look,
Yeah,
we got through it. We seen the light at the end of the tunnel, and we're good. So no, I
yeah, no
appreciate you.
doubt. Yeah, but it's been, like I said, it's been a blessing. It was never, obviously we don't have, excuse me, we don't have enough followers on YouTube on this platform to make money anyway. So it's never been about money because we haven't made 1 cent. If anything, we've put out a bunch of money, for the banners, for you know, storage, and different apps and stuff that we purchased, and time and all that. Like,
Yeah,
it's
but
cost. We've
let's
never
be
made
honest.
anything, but it was never about that.
Of all the stupid stuff people spend money on, and all the stupid
Oh yeah,
shit we could have spent money on, I'd rather do this and create something that we can actually say is, wow, this is our own. We did this from scratch,
yeah,
and be proud of it, regardless of the end results, regardless of the viewers, whatever it is, and be like, you know what? I'm proud of me, and you should be proud of you
absolutely.
too.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. There's so many things that people want to do that they never try to do. And we talked about in one of the episodes, fear. A lot of times we don't do certain things or go for certain things out of fear. And really fear of, even if you want to do it, more fear of judgment and what other people are going to think. And we kind of put that aside, and we got very vulnerable, both of us, with different topics throughout the season, and talked about things that the average person just wouldn't talk about. And we just said, hey, this is what it is, and I'm going to own it and put it out there, and I'm not worried about what somebody else. And that's a huge thing, just personal growth. And like for me, if you remember, like I talked about in the one episode where I had the teenage girl, like, basically molest me when I was 10 years old. Like, most people ain't getting on here and talking about that. But
Oh no.
topics like that, and again, that's a heavy topic. A lot of
Well,
times
they'll
people
take that
don't
shit
want
to
to
the
talk about
grave. Yeah,
that.
they'll never tell another living soul that. And the fact that you had the balls to even number
Yeah,
one own it and tell that version of your story is insanely profound. So
yeah. And like I said, out of fear, a lot of people aren't do that. And even myself, when me and you first originated, this whole idea and this whole concept, I had been talking about doing my own thing, and I was still apprehensive and still had that fear aspect, and what's people going to think, and what am I going to talk about? What if people don't like
yeah,
it? What if? But if we never would have done it, and I would never presented it to you, and you showed me interest, I could be sitting here 10, 20 years from now and be like, man, I always wanted to do this. And nobody ever talked about like a podcast. I'm just like, anything, like
yeah,
stuff that I
just do
wanted to talk
something.
about and put out to the world. What if I'm sitting here and I'm 80 years old still, and I'm still here talking about, oh, I wanted to do this and I wanted to
Yeah,
do that, and I never
and you're
did.
sitting there with regrets, like fuck,
Yeah,
man, I'm out of time now. It's too
yeah,
late.
exactly. So it was never, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, if one day this could grow, or something that we have grows and we make money off, great. But that was never the goal. The goal was just to go for something, you know, put your authentic self out there, tell your stories, share your stuff with the world, and hopefully, other people would resonate with
Will
them, and
resonate.
maybe
Yeah.
they're going through the same situation, or they admire, you know, your resiliency and the stuff that we've been through and appreciate it. And again, it just reciprocated. It helps somebody else, then they help somebody else, and it just keeps going on and on and
It's a
on.
trickle effect, and it just keeps branching
Yeah,
on from there.
yeah. I'm just
Exactly.
tired of not going for the things that I want to do. And with that being said, me and you and your brother have talked about it. We have something else coming out, and we've kind of been putting that on hold. So I feel like, our little hiatus is time to put that out. You know what I mean? So, and for people that are watching, we have a t-shirt line. We're a brand that we're going to be coming out with. So I need to, for these next 6 weeks, while me and Jason are planning for the next season of our thing, I need to get that out to the world. Put that out there, and keep trying to just be creative, and put your message out to the world and help other people, and see what happens.
Oh, exactly. And I mean, anything worth doing or, worthwhile, it takes time. You got to fall in love
Yeah,
with the process too. And I'm starting to realize that not even just with this, but career wise, trajectory, the kind of man you want to be, the kind of life that you want, the people you want to surround yourself with. It's all connected. So if
yeah,
one thing's out of place, everything else is going to suffer for it too. That's why you need to be just extremely aware of how you move out here. Because I know there's a
yeah.
lot of motherfuckers, especially in Philly right now, just doing crazy shit. So
Yeah,
that's why
it's
I'm
a
in the
mess.
suburbs. I ain't got to deal with all that.
Yeah, I'm in Jersey. I don't have to deal with it, but I work over there, and I'm from there, so it definitely hits home.
Yeah.
Um, and it ain't just Philly; it's everywhere. Like, the world is
Yeah.
a mess
No,
right now.
it's
Shit is
definitely
upside
everywhere.
down. Um, and I'd be having, going on back and forth on social media with different people on different topics, and it's just everything is upside down. Like, what used to be cool is now whack. What used to be whack is now cool. It's like everything is flipped, and so much corny shit is just people like praise it now. It's like we just condone the most bullshit I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen a
Yeah.
time
I mean,
in life.
here's what I come to realize too. It's never not been whacked out, the world and state
Yeah,
of affairs, politics, whatever you want to call it and get into. That's why me personally, I block all that out. I worry about what
yeah,
I have to do day to day, my routines. Is this helping me get better? Yes. Okay, well, let's do it.
yeah,
Is it not? Oh, well, let's eliminate it. It's literally that simple.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Does it add value or does it take away?
exactly. And,
Yeah,
you know, looking to serve other people and help them throughout their journey, whether it's, addiction or, you know, they're fighting with themselves, God forbid, potentially thinking about taking their own life, whatever it may be.
mhm.
If anything that we said on here throughout this whole season one help one person, I've been saying that mission accomplished. It's already done.
Oh, absolutely. That was been the goal and the vision since day one, you know. And with that being said, it just reminded me, and obviously but I've been journaling. Um, in 3 weeks, it will be 4 years since I started journaling. And I've gotten away from it a lot lately. I've, barely been doing it lately. And it bothers me, but I've had so much going on with, you know, I'm in a new relationship. Well, not brand new, but, 2 years in on a new relationship. So I've been focusing on that. I'm almost 2 years in on a new job. So I've been focusing on that. Um, coming up on 3 years, clean off of drugs. So, been focusing on that. But the journey started with all that about 4 years ago when I initially got, clean. And that journaling piece has been so huge for me. And I've talked to you about it, your brother, pretty much everybody. I've talked about it online. Um, I'm on a turn because it's documented my whole process from when I first checked myself into rehab, then sober for a year, relapse, and then now, got myself back together and now coming up in a few months on 3 years clean. it is, my whole journey has been documented in there with the journaling and, with my faith, with turning my life around, getting off parole, the job, the relationship. And, I've documented, like I said, I haven't documented it as much as I used to, but I need to get back to that. And I decided that this summer I want to wrap it up. And I've always talked about turning it into a book. So I want to wrap up my journaling. Not that I'm going to stop doing it, but kind of
Just
once
that
I get
portion
to a
of
certain
it.
point, like synopsize it there, turn that, condense it, edit it, turn it into a book. The story still goes on. It's just a be part two. But I need to get that out to the world because that really touches on, our thing is our thing, but that really deals with my own personal journey and has a
Yeah.
lot more to do with the drugs and the lifestyle and the mindset and the going in and out of jail and all that stuff and kind of the loneliness and then finally finding a real relationship and being committed to that and just a whole transformation. But the whole thing has been documented, and it's kind of good that we're going to take a little 4 to 6 week hiatus so I can kind
Yeah,
of
look, it's much needed.
finalize that, wrap up that thing, start editing it, and get it out to the world. Hopefully, sometime by the end of the year or early 2027. That's my goal.
Hell yeah. No, I love that. Yeah, let's just be about it. That's the biggest thing. Talk is
Yeah,
cheap. Fucking, I hear everybody, oh, I'm gonna do this, do that. And honestly, I noticed there's still like, and this isn't shitting on you in any way, Pop. Like anything I want to do now, very cautious in even telling people about it. This is different because obviously we're on the podcast. Like that's a
yeah,
dope goal. But, until it's executed, I try and keep it under wraps as much as possible. Well, if it's like family, close friend,
yeah,
whatever, girl, that's fine. But I try not to get it out there too much because then you just put unnecessary pressure on yourself. And it's like, damn, then you're like under this imaginary timeline that you just put in your own mind, like, then there's so much pressure to do it that you get overwhelmed and you don't end up doing it. Like I'm guilty of that too with certain routines and some days I just don't feel like it. So,
yeah.
at that point it's really discipline.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I'm not saying I disagree. Like as you know, I'm very open and I'm very a social person. I
Yeah.
live I put a lot of my stuff on my own social media accounts and I share a lot of things that people don't agree with. They might agree with the topic, but they don't agree how free I am that I share so much of
Yeah.
myself.
Who
Even in my
cares? It's not about that.
yeah, but what I'm getting at is even in my relationship, like with Angela, like she's very, very private. I'm the outgoing one who shares everything. And she has
Yeah.
even said, and family members have said to me, like, you share too much of yourself. And I tell people, like, I agree, you might not agree with it, but for me, I share so much of that because I lived in silence in the wrong, in the wrong lifestyle with the drugs and all of that stuff. So like I share it freely, hoping that other people can see, like, hey, I remember him when he used to get high and was homeless and in and out of jail and this and
Yeah.
that. Or I remember that version of him. So I share myself freely, whether right or wrong, whether people agree with what I talk about or whatever, just because I want other people to know that it's possible to change and not, stay stuck the same person. But the reason I brought that up is I kind of agree with you that I need to start keeping some things closer to the vest. And like you said, keeping them to myself until they come to fruition because not everybody is happy for you and not
Yeah.
everybody shares your vision. And some people will secretly hate on your plans. Like if you're like, I'm planning on doing this, I'm planning on doing that.
100%.
There's people out there who will literally prey on your downfall or low key try to sabotage it in some way or try to copy you or whatever. It's just a lot of weird energy out here, and I'm starting to learn that you're right when it comes to that. Like a lot of things you have to keep close to the vest until it's time for it to present itself, and stop putting it out there so much.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's not to say you can't share. It's just, certain things, especially if it's a little bit more personable. Um, you just got to be cautious because you're right. Just like, that's why I wear my Jesus pieces It's just like people pray, hey, please God, let me get through this. They're like, you know what? Yeah, Jason, he's a fucking asshole. Let me pray and hope he fucks up. 100% people do that every day.
Absolutely. And a lot of it is out of jealousy. And like even kind of what we were talking about, like with this thing, again, we're not becoming famous off of this. We only have 40 some followers, this and that. But a
Yeah,
lot of people will hate on somebody as little as us who doesn't have any big following just because it's something that they want to do, but don't have the courage to take the chance. They let the fear hold them back because they're afraid of judgment, so on and so forth, or the commitment and the discipline to stay with it, like we have. So people will hate on that just because you're doing something that they want to do, but don't have the commitment or the courage to do themselves.
and listen, I mean that's inevitable. I mean, not everybody's gonna like you. I mean, we learn that, when we're kids. And even
Yeah.
when you're an adult, you want to set out and do something, you can't let anything stop you. And there's always gonna be naysayers, there's always gonna be haters. But
Mhm.
if you don't have haters, you're not doing something right. That's
I
just
was
weird,
You just took the words out
like
of my mouth. Like people always talk about, like they're worried about being liked. Like if you don't have haters, you're doing something wrong. You
that shit
definitely doing
motivates
something
me.
wrong.
That shit motivates
Absolutely.
me. So I'm like
Yeah.
that, and I just stay low key. Like I'm more of a private person. Like I'll put myself out there to a certain degree, but you're never gonna know who I'm dating. You're never gonna really know what my career is, what I'm doing on the side. Like none of that,
Yeah.
because I value that.
Yeah.
But that's just me as an individual. Like
Yeah.
obviously everybody's different, but no, I
No, no doubt.
100% agree.
Yeah. Also, too, I wanted to touch on, right? So obviously, I talked about my journey and all that stuff, plenty of times on different episodes. And, I'm proud of that. But I had kind of you kind of know, I told you that me and Angela went to South Carolina the other day, and we
Yeah,
just got home last night. We only went for 2 days, but we drove down there because her godson was graduating high school, and she wanted to be there. And that's my partner, so I'm completely supportive. And it's just so weird because I had kind of this like I don't know what you would call a realization, a aha
Epiphany.
moment that yeah, where I lived such a negative lifestyle, and especially like the last up until a few years ago when I changed it, but for like a good 10 to 15 years I was on probation and parole. I couldn't travel anywhere, so I was literally stuck in Pennsylvania, and if I wanted to go
Yeah,
somewhere I had to call my PO, be like, can I go here? Here's my itinerary. Here's where I'm going to be. Da, 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 da. Here's who I'm going with. Like they had to have all the information. That's even if they approve it. But I came to this realization that like not only the last 10, 15 years because of probation and parole, but I've never really been anywhere because, I grew up poor. Um, and just never like I was so stuck in this world of like Philadelphia and, South Jersey, like this whole pocket. And even though we just took a road trip and I didn't see much, and her friend lives in, the country in South Carolina. So we didn't, and then we were going to go to Myrtle Beach yesterday and then stay till today. But the weather sucks. So we're just like, let's go home.
right.
Anyway, but just being able to travel and start doing that and just start seeing different parts of the country, I was like, man, I need to do this. Like I am over 50 and I've really never gone anywhere. That was the furthest I ever went south. I had never been below Virginia before, and I've never been past the
Damn.
cat. I've never been past the Catskills heading north. The Catskills in New York. Never been
Yeah.
past that heading north. I've been to Chicago and Minneapolis one time, but that wasn't leisure. It was basically business. And, I've been to Indiana, Ohio, and that was all coming back because I took the train back from Chicago. So, like, I've never really been anywhere, never been out of the country, never been on the West Coast, never been below now South Carolina, never been above New York. And I'm just like, what the fuck
Yeah.
was I
I mean,
doing? What was I doing with my life? And I know, again, like 10 or 15 years, I was on probation and parole, so I couldn't go anywhere. But I'm just like, man, I need to start living. And, slowly but surely, like good things, like you were saying earlier, like things take time, good things come, if you keep doing the right things. But it made me realize that, there's so much to life that I missed out on and have wasted a lot of years. And I gained a lot of wisdom and stuff from it, but like I've kind of shortchanged myself on a lot of experiences that, a lot of people had that I didn't. And it was due to my own, a lot of it was due to my own, bullshit and stuff like that. But I just decided, like, man, I need to start seeing the world and to start, really planning ahead and
Yeah,
start,
I mean,
whether it
look,
be,
as you should, but I got to call you out on something. Those years weren't wasted. I know it
oh, I
seems
know,
like
I
that,
know.
but it's so easy to get caught up in that mind frame. Like even in my late 20s, before I got into my 30s, I'm like, fuck, dude, I got to get it together. Oh, I'm about to be 30, fucking have to have it all figured out. And then I realized I'm like, no one knows what the fuck they're doing. No one volunteered to be born. I'm up. No one ever did that. You're just born into this world. You
Yeah,
really don't have a say. So, everybody has a different hand that they have to play. Some people have, full suit.
yeah,
Some people, have a shit hand and they just got to bluff.
yeah.
But it's never wasted time, and it's
Yeah,
never
and
really,
and
it's never
maybe I
really
use
a
the wrong
failure.
form of words. Like I gained so much wisdom, and all those experiences have made me who I am today, and I'm proud of that. But I've wasted time on bullshit, is what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't a waste. I just used
I
it
I know
in the
what you
wrong
mean,
way,
but
and just driving
words
down
matter
there.
too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But just driving down there this weekend, like it was on my way back yesterday. I'm driving and I'm just like I need to start seeing the world. Like you don't know how much time we have left. And it was kind of like I said, a realization, but also like not a running out of time thing, also an appreciation factor that I'm not where I used to be and now I can do that. And
Yeah,
that was what I was getting at, was more of a signal like, hey, that part of your life is over. It might have took a little longer than most people, but that part is of your life is over. And, be
100%.
grateful for the fact that a few years ago you weren't even able to do this legally. And now you could go anywhere and see the world and start having different experiences. And so it was a realization, but it was also a feeling of gratitude that I'm starting to branch out and things that are coming to fruition. Things that I worked on and prayed on years ago are starting to manifest themselves finally. And it was kind of a bittersweet feeling. Like I said, like, hey, wasted a lot of time on silly shit
Yeah,
that
but
got
now
me
you're out.
nowhere.
Now,
Yeah,
now you're like, yes, I want to continue what I'm doing right now.
exactly. Like I want this to keep going, and not just here. I want to go here. I want to go there. I just want to have more experiences and really experience life with the time that I do have left.
Hell yeah, what you should.
Yeah,
So hell yeah. Well, you mentioned new experiences. It's definitely to be a new experience implementing all the stuff we got in the works for season two. And as far as an outro, that's it, guys. Again, we appreciate you and we couldn't be more appreciative of just this journey. You guys sticking with us, subscribing, comments, whatever it may be. But I'm telling you, let us go on this hiatus. Enjoy the beginning of your summer, go down the shore, whatever it is you guys do. And we're
mhm.
going to be back in around 5, 6 weeks, and we're going to take it from there and have some new stuff coming out for you guys, clothing line, potential guests. And yeah, we're going to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Pops.
I just wanted to
Oh,
thank
yeah.
everybody too, same as you. Um, Again, we don't have a ton of followers, but like I said, I had a few people reach out that, watch all the episodes and look forward to them. And again, it doesn't matter how many, it doesn't matter if it's 40 some subscribers, 4 million subscribers. It's not about that. Um, we appreciate each and every one of you that has subscribed, has liked, shared, whatever, and told your friends about it. But just really, you guys, that's what it's about. It's about, helping other people. And we appreciate anyone, like, even if it's, like I said, 40 some people, every one of you guys is like why we do it. We want to help other people and, help ourselves in the process. But, we really appreciate each and every one of y'all and, all your comments, likes, shares, subscribe, all that. Like it's from the bottom of our hearts. Like it takes a lot to get on here and talk about things that are, uncomfortable and personal and, for us to be vulnerable, but we're willing to do it and we appreciate, all your support. So thank you guys very much. And like Jason said, enjoy your summer. We will be back and, we're going to do some rebranding, but we plan on coming back even better. So stay tuned. And again, thank you all for everything.
Hey, thank you guys. Pops, love you. We'll see you
Love
guys
you
in
too,
season
kid.
2.
All right. Sounds good. Peace, y'all.